There is a lot to think about when it comes to the stock market. Is it research? Is it performance? How do I even look into a stock? How do I find these stocks to even research? But what is the most important thing? If I could just think of one thing to focus on, what should it be and why? Let's go ahead and break it down. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, there are other things you should focus on. Okay, so the way I'm approaching this is focus on this one thing first, get this one thing very good, and then you can move on to the next. All right, but the one skill I would master, the one place I would start, is to learn to block out the noise. That is what I would argue is perhaps the most important skill when it comes to investing and when it comes to the stock market. And the reason why that's the case, more important than finding the best stock, more important than research and all the chart skills and all other stuff, kind of stuff that people talk about, is because you can have the perfect stock. I give you stock list every other week or so. Every other week or so. Do I not? Okay. But if you don't focus, right, and you are listening to every page that you scroll on Instagram and you are jumpy and every single headline scares you and you hear about a tax proposal from this person and you say Congress is going to do this and you see some meme and you get scared and sell, that stock was still perfect, but you lost money because you got scared and you could not block out the noise. That's on you. That's not the stock, right? That is on you. I say this multiple times because it is perhaps the most pronounced story that I think most people can get. But when Nvidia was down in 2022, when Amazon was down in 2021 and 2022, go back and watch those videos. I said I was not happy with Amazon. I said I was not happy with Nvidia, but I didn't sell. I held on to it. Look at them now, right? So how do you block out the noise? What are the things that you can do? What are the things you should do as these things are happening? So I have a few things. So again, just, stay away from the flashy things. Okay, that is like how do we do this? So the first one is, this is why I have the rule that I have. That rule is, for those who may be new, your chance to subscribe right now. It's your chance. But the rule that I have is the 6 to 12 month rule. So I only check and make moves in my portfolio every 6 months. Now I would recommend, right, or I would, if I'm counseling or coaching someone, or even when I was a financial advisor and I actually did that, and that was what my licenses allowed me to do at that point in time, is say, hey, we are going to check in with each other on these specific days, and this is when we're going to do these things. But if it's not June and it's not December, I'm not really going to make any moves. And what that does is keep me away from all the flash in the pan stuff and all the headlines, all the stuff and all the mess that happens in between. Because a lot of that stuff can come and go and we all forget about it within 6 months or so. There are a lot of times where things can happen, people really talk about it, and then you kind of forget about those things. And you totally forget that those things even happen. Like, for example, there was one point where Disney was doing incredibly well. We even did videos. And Disney did do well for quite a while. But what happened with the whole Disney switching CEO stuff? What happened with that? What happened with all the chaos with Disney fighting with the governor of Florida and all that stuff? What happened? I don't know. It's out of the news. We have moved on to something else. And what if you were somebody who bought or sold based on that hype and that flash and that information? Who knows, man? Like, that's not a way to live your life. That's not the way to really, act as an investor. So what keeps me out of it is say, hey, look, whatever's happening is happening. I will make a move after I know for a fact this is something that can be, quote unquote, confirmed. Meaning, after I know, like, okay, for 6 months or so, this thing is still a thing. For 12 months or so, this is a thing. Another example is Supermicro Computer, SMCI, I think is the stock symbol. It was a semiconductor company, and it went crazy. Did it not? It went absolutely crazy. However, how many times did we talk about it on this here channel? Y'all let me know. How many times did we talk about it on this channel? Very, very rarely, if at all. I think I mentioned it once in passing, meaning like, yeah, that stock is up, but I don't think we did. I don't think we put it on a list or anything like that. I don't recall putting it on a list and saying this is a stock to buy. If we did, it might have come up once. It hasn't been like a Walmart or an Apple or stocks you frequently hear me talk and rave about. It hasn't been there. It hasn't. Why is that the case? I certainly didn't buy it myself. The reason was it didn't have any sustained power, right? It didn't pass the mustard test in terms of has it done this well for this long. It felt like a flash in the pan. It's a skill to say, that looks great right now. I need you to prove it to me longer, right? I need you to have some stamina, and that stock didn't. And unfortunately, it started to fall off. And it was up like 1,000-something%, whatever it was. Where is it now? Right? Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But that's the thing, right? When we go back to 2021, you saw GameStop, you saw Dogecoin, all that stuff. Where they at now? Right? So again, this is why this the most important skill, because of things like that. Not having it and chasing the flashy things all the time, it's going to make you some money sometimes, but more often than not, it's going to lose you money. And that's a problem, because you can think you have the perfect skill. You can think you have great research and great information and overrate your confidence in things. You've got to be able to know how to tune that mess out. That is the most important skill. And just say, look, I know everybody's making money, or they say they're making money over here on all that. I'm going to stay focused. Go back to the videos we were talking about all the crypto stuff. All that crypto stuff we were talking, when everybody was raving about crypto and all that kind of stuff, we bought a little bit. Again, all the receipts, I ain't delete no videos. All the receipts are out there. I said, okay, cool. Let me get some Bitcoin. I'm going to get 5%. I'm going to leave it at that, right? I'm going to tune out the noise. While everybody else is saying Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000, Bitcoin's going to do all this. The FTX crashed, then Bitcoin crashed. And what we got up here and said, what? We said, none of that really made all that sense. This is why we weren't going full Bitcoin and doing all this crazy stuff. NFTs, all of that Web3. What happened in Blockchain Boys? Where they at? Right? So be able to metaverse. Where are all these people? So be able to tune out all the flash and stay focused on whatever your true process is, and whatever that new flashy thing is, just, yeah, be boring. Be boring at the end of the day, which is why we had talked so many times about Walmart the other day when it comes to some of our favorite stocks. It's another reason too why you never hear me talk about penny stocks. People ask me this all the time. You know, I open an account for my daughter. What are the best penny stocks for me to buy? Move out the way, dog. No penny stocks for you. No penny stocks for anybody, but especially none for you. Okay, and that's because that's where the flash is. That's because people think that it'll double and triple and quadruple overnight because you think it's a lotto ticket. That's how you get burned. I don't want to get burned. It's hot. Okay, I don't want that. I don't want that kind of smoke. I want money. Right, I want to build wealth, but I want it to be consistent, and that is what we should all want: sustained, consistent wealth. But the only way to really get there is to tune out all the flash, tune out all the noise. And again, the way I do it, just one way, is to separate yourself from the hype when possible. When everybody's excited and talking about stuff, start to really question who these people are when they're talking about those things. Take a step back, start to evaluate things from a longer term perspective. Ask who these people are. Also ask who these companies are too, because when SMCI came on the scene, or whatever the name of the company was, that was my first question. Who are y'all? I ain't never heard of you before. I have heard of Nvidia, I have heard of Micron, I've heard of Intel. Intel didn't do well, but I've heard of them, right? And you can always do more research and things like that. But those are the types of things to help you to separate what might be good or what has a higher chance of being good and what doesn't, and how to separate the flash from just what doesn't make sense. I think so many people focus on the flash and then make that into hope, and you try to take something and like force it and mold it into something that you want it to be, and that's not how the stock market works. I'm not trying to I don't know, make this a relationship and like mold this person into who I think this person should be and sculpt them into your perfect partner or something. This is a stock market, bruh. No, it's going to be what it's going to be. And we've seen this with so many different companies, whether it's a meme stock or it's a, people ask me about the Trump stock where it's like, hey, if this, and this, and this, and this happens, it could be bigger and better than Meta, and therefore the stock is going to be worth billions. It's a lot of maybes. It's a lot of heavy lifting for a lot of those things to happen. Today, though, it is not that. And right now, you have lost 50%. That's not going to work. What would work for me is let it do well for a minimum of 6 months, and then I'll be interested. Then I'll go back and research. Then we can talk. Let it do that for a year. Then it will meet the criteria of everything else on the list, like everything else. Then we can talk, because I've taken a step back. I've removed all of the hype. I can see sustained success, and then we can get into it. Because right now, because it IPO'd, right? And we do this, we talk about IPOs, it's initial public offering, the first times that these stocks hit the market. And what happens almost every time, not every single time, but almost every time, people get excited, these stocks get hyped up, they get bought up a whole lot. Everybody gets excited about the flash, and then shortly after, it falls off the side of the earth, right? And then eventually it starts to find its footing, right? Go back to Snapchat, go back to Slack, which eventually got bought, and the list goes on and on and on of so many companies that did the exact same thing. Uber did that at one point in time until it finally, 2 or 3 years ago, finally started to rise like a normal stock. So stay away from the flash, stay away from the meme stocks, stay away from the penny stocks, and just stay away from the flash. That is the one thing, the absolute one thing, the most important thing that you should focus on. Once you get that done, there are a few other skills and habits that I would recommend that you start on. If you want to know what those things are, I would suggest that you check out this video next.